flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. We have some minutes to approve. First of all would be our August 8th, 2016, and that was our regularly scheduled council meeting minutes. If there isn't any additions or corrections, I will need a motion to have those approved.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion on the floor by Donnie, second by Mary. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. August 17th, 2016, with our special meeting. We will need to have those minutes approved as well.
And I'll make that motion also.
There's a motion on the floor by Donnie. We'll need a second.
Second.
Second by Mary. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Agenda this evening. I have a few things to add. Under building permits, I want to put a note in there about grass clippings and one call that went out regarding that. I'd like to try and set a budget workshop. Let's put that right underneath. Planning and zoning appointment, we have to fill a position there, throw that on the agenda. And a fill-in part-time position for the deputy clerk if we need to put somebody on it. So that's all I have. If there isn't any other additions.
I move to add the additions to the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda for the evening with the changes.
I'll second that.
Second by Donnie. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Mosquito spraying charge update. Public Works, what do we got there?
Good, Mike, you start and I'll trade in.
We looked it over.
First of all, you want to give a little background on how we got to this? Mike, were you there at that council meeting?
Probably not, but the mosquito spraying was put in, what, 2 years ago? The charge. And it's always been on the billing, only it was abbreviated. So now that we have Banyan, all your city bills are looking different and everything is spelled out, and all of a sudden we've got some complaints that we're charged $1.50 a month
For all year round.
all year round by whoever has an electric meter or city electric. Well, Don and I and Bob met, went through and basically gonna leave it the same as it is. There is a couple of residents out here that have maybe a meter, separate meter on their garage compared to their residence. We may be looking at taking one, crediting and not charging that one meter just because, you don't want to double charge. But some of the issues came up, complaints were like our assisted care living facilities and Horizon Health and Meadow Ponds, I guess were kind of, well, they only have one electric meter. Yes, they have multiple residents living there. Those residents they don't go outside a lot. Most of them are on, assisted care, money, county stuff already. I mean,
It just doesn't pay to physically try to go after something like that and say, well, because you have 10 residents, we're gonna make all of them pay without having an electric meter. So at this point, it was decided to pretty much leave it as is. We looked at options as getting totally getting rid of it and putting it on the tax rolls, just being part of the city. We looked at possibly charging other people in town, maybe golfers, maybe campers. All of that's so hard to regulate and try to figure out, how you're gonna do it with the systems that we have. That the easiest way that we have right now is to leave it just the way it is. It's been working fine for the last 2 years. First year was done, actually this is our third year.
Yep.
Very first year was done, we hired the fella out. Second year is when we bought it. So,
I mean,
third year
basically,
running, but
It comes to $18 a year per resident
Oh,
or
okay.
meter.
I think one of the biggest concerns that I had heard was that, like you had mentioned, like if somebody happens to have a setup where they have 2 electrical meetings, they're paying double for the service, where next door neighbor who's getting the exact same service isn't,
Right.
is only being charged.
And through, Carrie said, you know, we can go through the meters and through Banyan and
But
look
like the
at.
ball field is being charged, they have a meter on both fields are being charged. They're very seldom used, but,
Yeah.
you know, so
Right.
those people are paying just as well as anybody else is, so.
Yeah, and I'm gonna wonder if we should take a look at that and see if we could pin that down to, it's if you're an owner and you have 1 electrical meter, you should be charged a double rate. I don't know, does that sound fair to you guys? I mean, that's.
Well, and there's only a handful. I think it's under 5.
It's less than 6 people that have like a meter on their house and a meter on their garage.
So, I mean, they're easy enough for Carrie to identify. I
So
mean,
you guys
just-
are okay with doing that?
Yeah, just
Okay.
knocking one of them on, you know, the garage off.
Yep.
Okay. Can we have a motion to that effect?
I move to leave the mosquito spraying charge as is, but if someone has 2 meters on their personal property, they should only be charged 1 meter.
Motion by Mary on the floor, can we get a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mike, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. Mutual aid agreement, and this is mutual aid based on our electrical service. Did you guys, as electrical committee, have a chance to take a look at this at all?
I looked at it before battery went dead at home, and,
I understand the reason for the mutual aid agreement on the electric utilities is if we would, not necessarily so we could go out and charge other people if they had an emergency, or they would charge us for that service necessarily. We're not forced into anything with this mutual aid agreement. But what it does with the mutual aid agreement in place is it allows FEMA to come in a time of disaster and actually help reimburse per our mutual aid agreement. You know, the fire department kind of ran into the same issue as to where if FEMA would happen to come in, how are we gonna reimburse other departments, or how is FEMA gonna reimburse us for bringing in other departments? If you don't have that agreement in place, you're not eligible for those services, so.
well, one of the big things in a scenario would be if we got wiped out of electric power from a storm, and our main trunk line is probably damaged.
Engine oil or whatever,
Right,
just as a.
I mean,
Yeah.
so basically, we aren't gonna mutual aid with another city, the way I look at it. We would almost have to go with Minnesota Power, correct?
Well, what the mutual aid agreement does is it puts in place a contract, so to
Right.
speak. Well, it is a contract. Without this contract that you have in place with other communities, in this case, it is the Minnesota Municipal, get this straight, Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association, which we are a member of. So that's what it would run through. So if we don't have that agreement in place and we ever did have a natural disaster, FEMA necessarily wouldn't have to come in and help reimburse us for those expenses.
Well, I think, you know, we have to sign into it because
Yeah.
otherwise FEMA doesn't have a right to, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at help dollars that would not be available because we're gonna say, no, we aren't gonna do this.
Right, it does say they will not reimburse costs arising from a city or municipal utility assisting another city/utility unless there's a prior written agreement between the parties, so we need,
Yeah.
we have to.
And ours is gonna be with municipal, so.
Yeah.
That is something we're gonna have to get a formal resolution. I know they have a sample resolution in there. Carrie, maybe you could,
And draft it for you.
yeah, draft that up and maybe have it for us and then we can approve it.
Is there a timeline on when we need to have this done,
No.
or, so next meeting will be
Yeah,
fine?
next meeting,
Yeah.
fine, what works for me. Anybody else have any questions on that? We have our library contract. You guys had a chance to take a some things in here I'd like to take a little closer look at. When you look at what the city's responsibility is in some of these areas, I would like to be able to sit down with maybe the city council and somebody from the library and actually go through a few of these things that are a little on the vague side. If you guys have had a chance, like I said, to read through this very closely or not, but there's several things.
What do you see, Toby, that's, or that's questionable?
Let's see. Responsibilities of the city. Just kind of go into some of these. They've got what their responsibilities will be. As far as the cities, it goes down, and some of these I know we're doing now, but there's some of them have questions about adequate. I'll just run through them. Adequate air conditioning and heating, which we have adequate space to meet service, operation, and storage needs, complies with local and or state ADA parking requirements, whichever is greater, complies with federal, state, and local restroom requirements, has exterior book drop in a well-lit area. This is one that I have questions about. It empties into an interior of the library. It must be contained in a fireproof room. Now, I know we have a fire box in there, but I know we've had some questions about this in the past. That's something I'd like to get a little more clarification on exactly what they're looking for, whether or not we're gonna have to do any improvements to the building to meet that requirement. It says remodels are done in consultation with the architect with library experience improved by the GRRL. Size and space requirements are met as established through the GRRL. Space needs analysis. There's just a lot of things in here that are fairly vague. I don't know what these requirements are for what we're after them to get into some of this stuff. Complies with GRRL policies, include GRRL branding for building identification and internal signage.
So do you think this has changed from what we signed?
Yeah, it looks a little different from the last one. So,
Would we have a copy of the one we signed last year?
File somewhere.
should be. If it's okay with you guys, I guess what I'd like to do would be to table this until we can get a closer look at it. And maybe answer some of the questions that we may have, or maybe spelled out in the old contract.
They're not looking for it until January 1,
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
We've got time.
Yeah, we've got time. So I will need a motion, if everybody is okay with it, to have this table till the next meeting.
I'll make that motion to table it until the next meeting.
Motion on the floor by Don,
I'll
second by
second.
Mary. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. Mary, you may know something about this one, emergency election plan. This is the first year I ever remember us having to put together an emergency election
I
plan.
did get a paper from Carrie and I stuck it in my little file, and I had a phone call this week,
Okay,
or a message or whatever, and I filled it out and sent it in.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
matter of if we don't have a polling place here, where do we go? I put the school,
Oh, okay.
with Carrie, because right now she's in the office as the successor of, I wouldn't be here or whatever.
Okay.
So I filled it out, didn't hear
Okay.
good back from her, so that's done.
awesome, thanks, Mary.
Yep.
You were right on that election stuff.
And Dave will be next year.
How about you, Dave?
Thanks, Dave.
First.
2017 Little Falls Visitors Guide advertising.
Do we know what we did last year?
I tried to find it and I couldn't find exactly what we did, and I haven't had the opportunity to ask Scott if he knew. I'm thinking it was probably a half a page.
Might have a book at home. Well, the record probably put it together.
Yeah, the record's the one who does it, I'm pretty
No.
sure.
No.
She's
No.
shaking her head.
You guys don't put it together?
No way.
Not the visitors.
The
Convention and Visitors Bureau puts this.
The actual together, okay,
We don't have one sitting on that table, so they're doing.
no.
Well, do we wanna try and get something approved this evening, up to a half a page, if that's what we did last year, and Carrie can check and find out what we did last year?
Right.
Is that the one there from
Is
the?
that,
No,
no,
it's
that's our
the-
Pierz one.
That's the Pierz one, it's the actual, like, fund guide directory.
Carrie,
Is
I'll
that
see if I
through-
can get one for you. I'm over in Little Falls, I can get one.
Is that through the Chamber of Commerce in Little Falls? or-
Convention and Visitors Bureau.
I could probably get a seat, who would be in charge of that too, do you know?
Chris Lumber.
Chris Lomberg.
Chris, okay, I bet you I can ask her if it's.
If you would've told me, I would've picked it today.
I think we should do what we did last year,
Yeah,
you know.
if that's a half page, I'll be.
If it was a half, I think it was a half. So I think a quarter, we couldn't get all of our
Stuff.
amenities on there that we wanted to put on there, so I think we did go with a half
I
page.
could remember, yeah, I'd have to look, I don't remember if it was a half, it may have even been a full. Cause we had like the golf course on there and a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
Well, can I get a motion to have up to a half a page, approved for this evening?
I'll make that motion.
Motion on the floor by Mike,
Second it.
second by Mary, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. Building
Um,
permits? Oh,
The
I'm
only
sorry,
question I
Karen.
have about that is we can have them do the production or we can do the production. So it costs more to have them do it or I can do it.
You do it. We kind of stay based off of what, get a copy of what we did last year
Yeah,
and
I'm sure we
maybe
can.
Tweak it.
tweak
Maybe
it
we
a
can
little.
even run the same thing if it's.
Just make sure the
you know,
numbers, whatever we have
yeah,
under our
it's
correct.
accurate, yeah.
Okay.
Don, did we have any building permits?
We do have one, we have a building permit for a fence for Thomas and Melissa McGuire. And at this stage, it has been denied. He needs to furnish the neighbor's signatures on both sides for the fence. And he also needs to provide setbacks in terms of how far away from the lot lines he is. So that has been denied. The address of 120 Summer Street South.
So it didn't get through you guys, so we don't have to worry about
No.
probate.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks, Don. Just kind of a heads up to folks, I know you've received, or many of you have received a one call regarding grass clippings on the street and sidewalks. Just a little clarification on that. When that call went out, we expect that it's virtually impossible if you have street frontage to keep a couple pieces of grass off the street or off the sidewalk. We realize that. The thing that really sparked this was that excessive amount. I know there was at least a couple locations with more than a couple of inches that were going over top of the sidewalk and out into the street. You couldn't tell where the sidewalk started and stopped, where the curb started and stopped, and somebody's gonna get hurt on those locations. Not to mention, it's really unsightly. I mean, it's not that difficult to, mow in one direction for a couple of rounds to get the stuff back on your own property, or blow it off, sweep it up, whatever needs to happen.
When it was
That
first
the
brought
reason.
in, the biggest complaint was that Bob had just swept the streets and it looked so nice, and then like an hour later, everybody had their lawn in the streets. So it was, the person who brought it up thought it was an insult to
Mhm.
Bob for spending his time doing the streets and then having it
It's
destroyed right away.
It's
so.
more of a safety and an unsightly issue. I mean, safety first. I mean, we don't want to have to be liable for that, so we would ask that property owners, please get the excessive grass clippings off of the sidewalk and off the street if
Don't
if
blow
at
it
all
there.
possible.
Personal responsibility. Come on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And take pride in your community
In your
and how
streets
things
yeah,
look.
Absolutely. Donnie, do you have anything else on that? I know I kind of talked to you, being on Public Works about that.
No, other than just to make sure that it's done, and we'll be sending probably Eric back out, and if they continue to do it, they will have a fine, we don't have a choice.
Thanks, Donnie. I'd like to schedule a budget workshop, for next week. I'd like to finalize our preliminary budget for the year. I can't Wednesday, I have a senior meeting. Other than that, I'm open to any day next week that would possibly work.
Mike, when are you in town? You're the one normally that's all trucking. Thursday?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Monday,
No,
Thursday?
I go on vacation on the 31st and I'm leaving town till the 7th, so
So can we do it the 30th?
Tuesday night is the only night I'm gonna be around next week.
Carrie can get that posted right away, and then see if Stephanie's available as well.
Yeah, if you wanna do that.
What, I was just gonna say what time,
Whatever works for you guys.
Everybody make it here at 5?
When does that work for you?
That's fine.
Should I work 5 o'clock?
Nicole, does that work for you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Dave, does it work for you?
I hope so.
Doesn't have to.
Doesn't have to, yeah.
Your day is coming.
And as far as the budget committee goes, I would like to sit down with you guys sometime before that workshop takes place. Just run through our stuff one last time and make sure that we have I's dotted, T's crossed before we present it to the rest of the council. If we're doing that on Tuesday,
Yeah,
that's
I
fine.
can't give you much.
That's
Can we do it later this week?
Do it whenever you
Does it
guys
have to be
want.
posted?
Not
Not
just
just
for
No,
the
just
committee?
the budget committee, yeah.
Can't tomorrow.
Okay. Thursday, Mary, you available Thursdays for a few minutes? Don't think it's gonna take us long.
Yeah,
Thursday?
Thursday?
Thursday,
At
5 work for you?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
good. Yeah.
I have a planning and zoning position that is open that we needed to fill. That was for Mark DeJuravinsky, who had to resign. He moved out of the community. Give it a lot of thought, and I talked to one gentleman, I think he would be pretty good on there, pretty knowledgeable. Tony Sauer has agreed to finish out that position, and it would be until 12/31 of 2008. If the council will approve him, he said he would accept the position.
Could we had asked for people to apply, did we have anybody at all that actually applied when we?
No,
Okay.
it typically isn't an application process.
Well, they were told that
That's
to
right.
call City
I haven't
Hall if
heard
they might
from
be
anybody.
interested. Nobody ever called?
I never
Okay.
heard from anybody.
Well, he's our man then. I was gonna say.
I will need to, yeah.
I make a motion that we appoint Tony Sauer to fill the vacancy of planning and zoning seat until 2018.
Motion on the floor by Mike, and
Yes.
second by Mary. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Alright,
Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. Let me see what you guys think, but I know we had kind of talked a little bit. Actually talked with Mary a little bit, being on the admin committee. Linda, sorry I didn't get a chance to bring this up to you, being on that committee as well. It just kind of came about over the last few days, but we're gonna run into some instances where we're either gonna have Carrie or Nikki, Nicole. Who is probably gonna be in or out, or I know Carrie's got a couple days coming off here, and it's right about the time that Nicole is gonna start.
Nothing like you being the one that first thing.
So, there is a gal who is interested, in just picking up some oddball hours if
We need the help.
Yeah, if we need the help, and that was Pearl Wilson.
Basically, it's just to answer the phone and
And if somebody
Take
walks in
money.
and gets, yeah, and somebody wants to hand a payment,
Yeah.
give them a receipt.
See, yeah, that's
It'll be
basically all.
really simple, take messages, notes, whatever.
Did I talk to you about that? I'm sorry, Linda. Couldn't remember if I did or not, I got too much stuff.
I thought it was great.
so do we have to just put her on as a part-time?
We could put her on
Fill
as a
in.
part-time.
Fill in part-time, what kind of set our hourly rate, or what do you
Could
think?
give her, I I think we should try and give her somewhere around $14, $15 an hour, 14, 15, 14, 15. 14.
When we hired, Mrs. Anderson.
Mary Ann, I don't remember what we
Yeah,
did.
we didn't pay her that much.
I would say
I
10 or
don't know.
12.
I think it was like 12 bucks.
Yeah.
That's what we did for each.
Okay.
I think she'd be fine at the job, and she's not really doing it for the money, it's more something
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we, how long is it away yet?
Friday.
Next week?
This Friday, Gary's gone.
About 4 days.
Yeah.
Is she available this Friday?
I'm hoping.
I'm not really worried about Friday.
Friday.
Fridays are very quiet, so worst case scenario, a sign goes on the door, I'm not really worried about Friday. And I have,
Well,
Scott and I
Eric
have a
can
plan for Nicole
maybe
for
be
Monday,
around.
so. And yeah, Eric will be in and out both Friday and Monday, so, and he said that he would hope to, so.
Well, let's put her on that rate of, you guys want to, would you want to go
12, let's
I
go
would say
12.
12 is fine.
12?
Yeah.
Okay, and, yeah, we'll just go from there. So we will need a motion to approve hiring Pearl.
I move to hire Pearl Wilson as a fill-in at $12 an hour.
Motion on the floor by Mary.
I'll second it.
Second by Mike. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried
And
unanimously.
she is a fill-in, so that she
Yep.
might have to run the street sweeper for Bob, or whatever. We're gonna use her wherever.
You're off.
Dave's thinking he's gonna resign now, because there's no way he wants to be a street sweeper.
You're pulling out your candidacy is already expired, so.
Carrie, do you have anything from deputy clerk's position?
No, not really. Bob called right before the meeting, and I have some very vague notes, from, Scott Headland with SCH on project update. They are gonna start paving tomorrow.
Good.
Project completion should be September 1st, to be completely wrapped up.
Okay.
Scott is gonna be coming to the, September 12th meeting. And he'll have 2 resolutions, one for a pay app, he said, and a change order. And then he would like you guys to start talking about a special assessments meeting, public hearing in October, and
Yeah,
setting
that
an
in
amount.
by the end of November, so.
Yeah. And he said Bob said last time we assessed it was 16%, so just
Yeah.
kind of think about that and keep that in mind.
And that is, for the Edward Street.
Correct.
Project.
Yep.
Okay.
Looks like they did the last of the curving over the weekend, so I'm assuming, well, we did have a deadline for them, that that project be done before Oktoberfest, so.
They'll have the first quote on, but not the second.
Yeah.
But still, obviously, they're gonna have it.
Yeah, it'll be open.
It'll be substantially complete anyway by then. Treasurer's report. Linda.
Well, I haven't seen all the report yet, but the number I have that's been balanced with the statement is $1,177,769.28.
And what does that all include?
What is that budget?
What does that all include? Is that what we had checking?
That's the statement balance,
That's the checkbook balance.
Check.
Checkbook balance.
and that's the bank, that it balance with the bank statement.
Okay, we will need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
All right, that motion.
Motion on the floor by Mike and second by Mary. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. You guys go to your claims list, you'll see there's a different format. We're looking at
That's
this
nice,
right
I
now.
like that.
Yes, isn't it a lot easier to read?
Well,
The
it
last one?
clarifies a lot of things out.
Well, errors will be easy to find if there's something that's data entered wrong or something, so
It's very,
It's a lot cleaner.
easier to read.
Here's your number to look for right there.
And claim amount 266,338.64.
I'll make the motion to pay the bill.
Motion on the floor by Donnie to pay the claim,
I'll second that.
second by Mike. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried unanimously. Anybody else have anything? Just for you folks who aren't able to see who we have in the crowd, might be watching watching on TV. We have our unopposed running city clerk, Dave Fisher. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
We have Nicole Nordlund, our new city administrator. Welcome, Nicole. Nicole, just as a reminder, this weekend, if you're not doing anything on Sunday, well, Saturday and Sunday, we have our city celebration, Oktoberfest. So if you or your family is available, come on down.
We could put you in a float and,
Should.
new city administrator.
On the back of Donnie's car.
Yeah, Donnie, you can go to the vet.
So welcome, you guys.
Well, she wants to sit in my car, I'll take her around. It's not a red Corvette, but it's a Corvette.
If there isn't nothing else.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion on the floor by Mike. Get a second.
Second.
Second by Mary. All those in favor to adjourn, please signify by stating aye.